people, how's everyone doing? It's Terry from LionDenSports. Today we're doing a solo one on the weekend's boxing. So I'm really looking forward to doing this one with you today. We have such a great weekend of boxing, so it'd be wrong for me not to come on air and tell you my thoughts on the weekend's actions. So first I'm going to start with the undisputed fight over in Las Vegas at lightweight, promoted by Top Rank. We saw a 12-round, one of the great fights I've seen over the most recent times. Really good, technical at the highest level fight. You know, right from the beginning, you know, since the weigh-in, what I did see was an emotional sort of Devin Haney. You know, we saw that with the push, but you know, making weight, you know, from personal experience, that can take a lot out of you, and it does make you emotional when you've got your opponent right in front of you. You're ready to take him out. So I can understand Haney's sort of emotion, but I can see how Lomachenko sort of grew from that, how he gained confidence from that moment. So, you know, it was an interesting moment. And, you know, we've seen from Loma's previous fights, you know, when weigh-ins and, you know, press conferences, when they're face-to-face with his opponent, he doesn't look away. He's on it till the end. He knows, you know, it's all about those small margins. And, you know, the first one to look away, that gives your opponent a sort of advantage over you, right? So by you know, doing that, Haney sort of knew that Lomachenko wasn't moving, so he had to force it, and the way he forced it was by pushing him. But you know, even when that did happen, I thought we're going to see an emotional Devin Haney during this fight. You know, and when you're emotional during a fight, that makes you more liable to make mistakes. But, you know, during the hot fight, I didn't see many mistakes from Devin Haney, which we're going to break down now. You know, and going into the fight, you have to give credit to Lomachenko. First of all, you know, he's given up size, he's given up weight, he's given up reach as well. All of this, so he had so much going against him, you know, even before entering the ring. But what we did see was a great performance from Lomachenko. There's loads of talking points. You know, I've seen loads of talk about this fight being a robbery. One of the worst decisions in boxing. But, you know, let's get this straight. First of all, we've seen some terrible decisions in boxing. This was not one of them. You know, this was a very competitive 12-round fight. As I said, compete at the highest level in boxing. I gave it, personally, I did give Lomachenko the win, 7 rounds to 5, but there's 1 round in it. You know, and for me, the rounds that really clearly show that Lomachenko had won was the 9th round, the 10th round, and the 11th round. Where Lomachenko got on top of Haney, you know, starting great shots from head and body. You know, he seemed to get stronger and stronger throughout the fights, and you know, dominating his attributes on Haney. But let's look into the good points that Haney was doing. Haney was really, really effective with counter-punching. He was really good with his body shots as well, and you know, the punch stats during the fight had shown that. You know, he's really effective to his body punch. An area, yeah. So even though he was effective on his headshots, he's effective on his body shots. An area I feel he needs to improve on is his head movement. You know, simple movement that we saw Lomachenko doing constantly throughout the fight. You know, Lomachenko was constantly moving throughout the fight. He was not a static target. But I felt, even though, you know, Lomachenko did really well with having that range and counter punching, his head movement was still. And that's where Lomachenko was able to do things like the double backhand, you know, which was really effective throughout the fight. You know, simply because Haney's head was still during the attack. So what Lomachenko was doing, the first shot was a rangefinder because of the reach difference, and the second hand you always saw was the one that connected most times. And you see he had to leap in with the shots as well, and that's why he was really effective on that shot. So one simple advice for someone like Haney would be to make sure that he's moving his head just slightly. So even if you're moving your head slightly, you can anticipate the shots more coming instead of being that static target. I was really impressed with Devin Haney throughout the fight as well, was that you never saw quit in the kid. You know, how many fights have we seen previously of Lomachenko where fighters have quit? You know, Ridengel, if I said his name right, probably not. But we saw the 2-time Olympian. He quit. Cuban, you know, he quit during that fight. I remember at featherweight. You know, and there's other fighters as well. I remember the Jamaican guy who was like, he had crazy knockout power. So we've seen Lomachenko quit opponents under similar attacks, but Haney had shown tremendous amount of heart, courage, spirit. You know, really impressed with what he had shown throughout the fight. So that's credit to him. And what was also credit to him and his team was his father, Bill. His father, Bill, did a great job in keeping calm in that corner, giving clear advice to his son. You know, there could have easily been panic during that corner. So when he was under attack in the 9th, 10th, 11th round, he could have put him out there. So you're losing. What's going on? What's all this? As we've seen in some corners. But he said, son, you're winning. You know, you're doing great. Keep using the body attack. Keep calm and steady. Keep doing what you're doing. You know, we need this round now. So I was really impressed for he's not a well-renowned coach. You know, he doesn't have the boxers of some of the coaches that we've seen in the past, like your Freddie Roaches, and you know you can't compare him to that. But some of the other coaches that are out there, he doesn't seem to have that attributes. But he's certainly shown he knows his son well, and we've seen son and further relationships previously with Joe Calzaghe and his father, how effective that was. So yeah, I was really impressed with Bill Haney in his corner. So that was definitely a plus for them. Again, the talk of the fight being a robbery, I think is unfair on Haney and unfair on the fights that have been a robbery in the past. You know, we've seen robberies in the past like Taylor Catroy in more recent times. Golovkin Canelo comes to mind as well, the first one. Carl Froch and George Groves, first fight. You know, I don't believe that should have been stopped. But, you know, all these ones here have been far bigger robberies than what we saw. We saw a competitive, high-skilled 12-round fight. And, you know, it could have gone either way. Let's look at what's next for both fighters. So Lomachenko, he's got, you know, where does he go from here? He's obviously just lost out on the undisputed fight. He's 35 years old. Does he rebuild himself? You know, his dream was always to be an undisputed champion. Will we see the rematch, which would be brilliant for Lomachenko? But let's not forget Haney's contract with Top Rank's finished now. He can easily move up to 140, face the winner of someone like Taylor and Lopez. We can see the Shakur Stevenson fight, who, man, he's special. Yes, I was really impressed with Shakur Stevenson. He's beat some top class fighters. Oscar Valdez obviously trains with Canelo and that sort of team. Put on a tremendous 12-round performance there. Beat the Japanese fighter in his last fight, Yoshinina. Apologies if I got his name wrong, but yeah, man, he looks, now he's moved up to lightweight. He'll be the man to beat at that weight. And you know, we saw the interaction between Devin Haney and Shakur afterwards the fight, where Devin Haney said, I'm number one. And Shakur went, for now, son. For now. So that was really interesting. So that could be building up really nicely. You know, Devin Haney's got options. You know, even though he's the undisputed champion, is he the best in the division? We don't know. But in years to come, will people even remember that? You know, eventually could Shakur Stevenson move up to 140? And as we've seen in many great fighters, you know, the Pacquiao and the Mayweather, that happened when they're in the mid-30s. You know, it can definitely happen later on down the line. So, obviously, we hope it happens now, because now they're both in their prime. You know, and credit has to go to a few weeks back, we saw Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis. You know, credit has to go to them. They're both in their prime in their careers. They could have both swerved each other, but, you know, faced head on. So we saw some, you know, we're seeing some interesting times in boxing at the moment. But that's one fight I would definitely look forward to seeing in the future. What we also saw on the weekend, another undisputed fight in the women's division over in Dublin, Ireland. We saw the return of Katie Taylor moving up in weight to light welterweight against Chantelle Cameron, who was the undisputed champion at that weight. You know, what can you say about Katie Taylor? You know, she's been absolutely amazing for boxing. You know, it's said numerous times, but she comes across as a very humble person, someone who believes in her faith, you know, right down to the ground. She's very, you know, her faith is really important to her. And we saw her great performance against the Puerto Rican fighter. We saw her against the Puerto Rican fighter, Serrano. She put on a great performance there in the Madison Square Garden, and this was her time to again excel her career, move up a weight and become undisputed champion again. Unfortunately, she come up short, but she's showing tremendous heart. She didn't look right in the fight. Chantelle Cameron, she dominated the fight like a champion. From first round, I was really impressed with Chantelle. And from the first round, I thought if she can't slow down, Katie Taylor could end up losing her. But she kept that pace up throughout the fight. Throughout the fight, we saw Katie Taylor fade. I thought she faded quite early. The first round, second round, she looked like she was really tired. But, she tried the heart of a champion, keep coming back. But, Chantelle, for me, won that fight as a shutout victory, respect to Katie, she could have taken a much easier fight for a return. She could have sold that arena out to any fighter. But she took the challenge. She moved up a weight. She felt that she could have beat Chantelle Cameron. But she just come up short. But it wasn't her night. We saw that her hair come undone. That she was, she looked tired throughout the fight. So maybe something was awry in Cap. Is age catching up with her? She's done pretty much everything in the sport. Olympic gold medalist, and world champion, undisputed champion in her weight. Headlined, sold out Madison Square Garden. Headlined, sold out her hometown. So she's done it all. She's been a really pioneer for women's boxing. And it'd be interesting to see if women's boxing would be so popular in the UK if it wasn't for Katie Taylor. So yeah, credit to her. Hopefully she comes back now. I'd like to see that Serrano fight again. They can sell out whatever arena they want with that fight. It'd be interesting though. What will be interesting is sort of the opinion of the Irish fan now that she's lost. How will people perceive her? But I'm sure she'll be still treated as a champion, no doubt, because she's done so much for the country, so much for the people of Ireland as well. So, in my opinion, she'll be great. And finally, what we did see during the crowd as well, we saw a lot of interaction between Kell Brook and Conor Benn. We saw Conor Benn, while Kell Brook was doing an interview, give him a little barge in the back. And Kell Brook obviously responding to that. It's a lot of push and pull in there, a little bit of a scuffle in there as well. It's interesting. Kell Brook wants to return. It looks like he wants to return. We've heard him in interviews before. He's looking to return back to boxing. He wants that. He wants a fight. He needs something to get up for. Conor Benn could be that fight. Conor Benn's young, hungry. He's really emotional at the moment. You see his interviews. You see some of the movements that he's doing. He seems like a very emotional kid at the moment. A lot's gone on for him in the past year or so. So you can understand. Unfortunately, he can't fight at the moment. I'm looking forward to seeing him return. I hope he gets past this and he makes his return to the ring because he's such an asset to the sport. He's young, he's hungry, he's improved bundles. So, yeah, I love to see him fight. For Kell Brook, it's a tough fight against Conor Benn. Conor Benn's young, he's hungry, he's in his prime of his career now. I think he's 26, 27. Kell Brook, he's 36 plus. We saw against Khan, how dominant he was, how hungry he was for that fight. You got to understand that rivalry was going on for about 20 odd years. That was more than money. That was there's a lot of stuff being said over the last 10, 15 years about that fight. Who's the best? Who's the better one out of those two? Kell Brook has so much to prove. And we saw him beat a fading Khan, really. He dominated him for 6-7 rounds during that fight. Against Conor Benn, it's a different opposition. He's facing, as I said, someone who's got so much... he's got so much more to prove than Khan at that point. It can be a dangerous fight for Kell Brook. So, if Kell Brook's looking to return, there's other fights out there for him that you can look to do. I'm not saying swerve Conor Benn. If the money's there, then all right. But your health is your wealth, as they say. Look after that, and everything else will come after. So yeah, I think there's other fights for Kell Brook that you can take. For Conor Benn, he wants to be a world champion. go and get yourself on the ladder for some of those titles. You know, get yourself raised on the rankings again. Get your license back first, and then start rising yourself. Start facing real contenders out there who are going to challenge you to be a better fighter. You know, it's not all about the money. You know, we know the Eubank fight was about the money. Kell Brook will certainly be about the money as well. You know, go out there and prove you want to be a world champion. So prove them that, you know, that's your goal, that's your aim. Yeah, and that's my sort of take on that I would say. Guys, thank you very much for listening. This is my first sort of solo one. Hope you liked it. Please subscribe to the channel and continue listening, and we look forward to the next one. Thank you.